Hello, hello. It's painting day. Welcome to our second free and fun painting party. We are painting the owl today. So I'm just checking to make sure everything looks okay. If you're able to join, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. Hopefully I can see comments. So just while I'm trying to get set up here. Oh, there I am. We are doing... Okay, I think we're okay. So I think I've got it. I just wanted to make sure I had sound. Sometimes I have problems with my speakers and all of that. So, okay, so if you didn't know, we are doing more painting this year. My goal is to paint more, to grow as an artist, and so what better way to paint more to have a little paint party, and because meeting and so we're going to do it online and paint together and have some free and fun little paint tutorials online. So if you are able to paint with me, that would be awesome. So how I'm doing this, let me just back up a little bit. So I'm creating an event on our Facebook page, and in the event you can say attending, and then you'll just get notifications when that time frame is coming up, and we're just going live straight on the page here. In the event as well is the link to get the download, the tracer, and the supply list. So a list of all the colors I'm using and the brushes I'm using and things like that. So if you'd like to paint along and you'd like that information, that's available in the event, but I will also put it in the description here. So it's in the description of this video. It just takes you to my website where I'm hosting all of the free downloads. You'll see them start to populate the more that we do this. And all you have to do is hit download, you put your email in, and it will email you a zip file with the information for that painting. So that's how we're working that to get the information out to you if you'd like to paint with us. And I hope you do. If you're catching this on the replay, comment replay and let me know where you're watching from. And if you're going to watch first and paint later, that's fine too. The videos are being recorded and will live on our Facebook page indefinitely until Facebook tells us to take them down. Okay, so let's get started. Last week we painted the winter owl, or the winter gnome, and I don't know if you saw that, but be sure, if you didn't, go check that out. Let me show you what that looks like. So here's the winter gnome, and if you didn't catch that, I talked about how these colors are just kind of my favorite right now, so you're going to see kind of a theme here. Same color scheme. We've got that same really nice teal background with this dark red and this slate gray, and so we've kind of got that. And then next week we are painting the winter fox, which again, same color scheme, but super cute and super fun to paint. Okay, so when you go get the tracer, you're going to get two PDFs, one for the top and one for the bottom. And you're going to line them up here and then tape them off to get an image that is going to fit an 11 by 14 canvas or mixed media paper. Let me show you what I'm using, which is kind of my favorite right now. So I bought this at Walmart. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was around $20, $15 to $20. You get 24 pieces of paper. It's 11 by 14. And the paper is just a really great heavy weight. It's 136 pounds. And it's kind of got a feel to it like canvas. It's got some texture to it, so it takes well with the palette knife. But it's really nice to paint this size and be able then to use this as a folder to tuck away other paintings in. So here's one. Let me just show you real quick. I know we're getting off topic, sorry, but here's one I have, and you can see that I store my paintings in there as well. If I'm not hanging them, they kind of get stored in this, and it protects them. So that's a good buy if you're looking for either paper or a mixed media pad to do these in. And if you're doing it different size, you can take these PDFs that you download and scale them up or down for whatever size that you have. Okay, so let's get this image transferred. And I'm just going to make sure that the image itself is centered where I want it on my paper underneath. And then I'll tape it down. And I'm going to use a piece of graphite paper. If you've never used this, graphite paper comes with a shiny side and a dull side. You always want to make sure that your shiny side is down on your paper or canvas. Okay, I'm going to slide that in, and then I'll just take a pencil and we will trace our image. If you didn't have a piece of graphite paper, you could always just use a pencil and kind of color in the back of this piece of paper over the lines with your pencil, and then that becomes your graphite paper. Okay, I'm going to just move this down to finish it off. Okay, just take a peek, it looks okay, then I can take that off there. Okay, just making sure everything looks okay, double checking. It's super windy where we're at, and I keep waiting for our power to go out or whatever. When it's really windy like that, that sometimes happens. Okay, so for paints, I'm going to use a black and a white. I've got a Deco Art Americana Green Lagoon, which is just a kind of a darker teal color. And then I'm using a bright red and the Sun-Kissed Peach, and then a Burnt Umber. So we've got 6 colors here. For brushes, we are going to use, let me get my brushes out. Oh, a large flat, we've got a small round, and then a medium round, and a liner brush. So just a couple different sizes rounds, a flat to quickly get our background in, and then a liner brush to do some of the more detailed work. So if you're watching, has anyone had a chance to do any painting lately? Did you do the gnome? Alright, so let's start with a little bit of a lot of white. To run and grab another white. We'll see. And I'm going to get a little bit of black on my palette and then a little bit of this green lagoon. Alright, so let's start with our background. This background is similar to the background we did on the gnome, where we're just doing a muted blended background, soft colors, but we don't want to overblend either. We want to see some of those colors come out. And I actually didn't put any, I don't know why I got black out, but we're just going to use the white. I'm using my large flat brush for this, and I'm going to load it up with a bunch of white. That's going to be my main color, and then I'm going to dip it into that teal color, the green lagoon, and I'm going to come out onto my background here, and I want to do a very fast crisscross random brush strokes to create a very soft muted background. I also created or taped my paper down, and I'm doing that to create a really nice crisp border around my painting. After I remove the tape, I'm going to have a nice white border. And it also helps me just hold my paper down, because this is great paper, but it does buckle just a little bit. And so if you wanted to do the same, just make sure that you use a piece of tape that can easily be removed. Some sort of masking tape or a washi tape works. And then just give it a nice, like a burnish all the way around. Press it down really well so that you get a nice seal all the way around and your paint doesn't seep through. So on my original here, I did not do that. I went straight to the edge with this. Either way works. So again, with this background, we don't want to overblend and just create one color. We're just randomly, quickly moving our brush around to give us a nice soft background, where in some cases we see more white, and in some cases we get a little bit more hint of that turquoise color. More white here. Okay, there we go. So super fast, don't spend a lot of time. You want it to be really random. Just might need to add a little more color if you want it a little darker, or more white if you want to lighten it up. Okay. So let's get some of that burnt umber out, and we will get that first coat on our branch. I'm going to switch to my large round for this part. I'm going to load my brush up with that burnt umber, and I'm just going to fill in this branch here I have. These little painting tutorials we do would also be fun to do with the kids and make it a family activity. Okay. Alright, so while I've got brown on my brush, I'm going to dip it into that black, and I'm going to create some shadow underneath on the bottom side of my branch here. So I'm going to blend a little bit of black down in there. It's all still wet, so it's blending nicely. And then, so I came straight across here, and then when I come up here, I'm going to start right at that Y and just do the bottom part of that little branch that forks off there. Okay, and then we're going to let that dry, and let's go start on our little round owl. I'm going to stick with the large round for this, and we're going to mix our own gray. If you watched my video last week, you know that I'm not a big fan of grays out of the bottle. I like to mix my own. So what I'm going to do is, and I like to just let my brush mix it right on my palette or on my canvas or paper, and so I don't really necessarily mix any on my palette per se. Sometimes I do, but so I'm going to load it up with the white, and I'm going to dip it in that black. So I've got both colors on my brush, and then I'm going to just come out here and start filling in. Now this is going to be the first coat, so it's a little bit darker than what my original is to start with. But we're going to come in with some additional brush strokes to help kind of define some of his feathers, and that is where we'll lighten it up a little bit. But this first coat is going to be just a little bit dark. And you can make your owl really as dark or as light as you want. You could do any color. You could do a brown owl. More of a white owl. There's somebody outside, so just ignore my dog. Neighbor or something, and he has to let us know about it. Okay, so here I've got this owl filled in with this gray color, and it doesn't look all that great, but this is just the first coat, so keep that in mind. Painting is about layers, and adding and putting down the first coat, and then you do the second coat, and then there's a third, and sometimes a fourth and a fifth. And so don't start judging your work yet. If it's splotchy or just not filling in right, you definitely trust the process and keep going, because each layer makes our paintings just a little bit better. All right, so let's go get the face filled in here. I'm just still using my medium to large round, but as we get into these tighter corners or tighter spaces, and feel free to use whatever brush you feel comfortable using. If it's a little bit smaller brush, use that as well, whatever you're comfortable using. The other reason I like to just mix my colors right on my canvas like this instead of on my palette is because I get such good variation. And when we're painting fur or things like that, animals or whatever, having that variation is actually a plus. So some areas are a little bit lighter, some areas are darker, but that's how fur is. And so just letting this mix happen. I've got a little bit darker area here, lighter areas, and I think that just adds to the, gives it more realistic if we have that and it's not just all one color. All right, let's get his eyes filled in. Get a little more white. We're going to fill his eyes in with white here. Just pure white. And then we'll do the pupils black. Okay. For the pupils, I am going to switch to a smaller round. There we go. All right, let's get some red out and paint his scarf and his hat. So I'm using a really bright red here, which doesn't look anything like my painting, or my original here. And it's because I always tend to put the bright red color down first, which is kind of opposite from what I usually do. I usually go dark and then add my light. But red's another color that I like to mix my own with. So I'll always start with just a bright red and then add either a brown or a black to it and darken it up to get that nice brick red. But if you had a favorite red that you like to use that's already a brick color, you definitely don't need to mix more dark with that. Okay, so we're getting down to the bottom of his scarf here, and I've got these fun little, I don't know if you can see it, but they're just like the tassels or the strings that are coming out. And to do that, let's see, let's switch to a smaller round, and I'm just going to take my brush strokes and just bring them back, start them kind of where I can see my tracers, and just brush stroke back up into the scarf, and then I get these great little strings or tassels edging on my scarf here. So I have some that are a little bit longer and some that are shorter, and I'm just going to fill that in until I get all the way across, and then I've created this really fun edge there. And I'll just add that up to the top there. So that using your small brush to create that is an easy way to get those, it's not tassels, what is the word I'm looking for? It'll come to me. Okay, so we got the hat, we got our first coat on our scarf and our hat, and let's get some of that peach. So you could definitely use like an orange here for the beak and the claws, his feet, but I was trying to keep with that same color scheme for all three and not venture out too far or add too many new colors. And so since I used peach on the gnome's nose, I thought I'd just use peach here, and then we have a matching color scheme. So we'll put our first coat down here. So if you're just joining or you're catching this on the replay and you're watching it later, catching part of it, we are doing more painting this year, and so that means you're going to see more lives like this. The more we paint, the better we get, and my goal is to get better, and to do that I have to paint more. So I thought I'd just bring you guys along and paint with you. Okay, so down at the bottom, again, I got to talking and not telling you what I was doing. I had completely covered up my lines for his little claws, his little feet that are sticking out, and so all I did was just eyeball it where I wanted. Just 3 brush strokes, kind of like a parenthesis, all going the same way, and they just kind of come around the wood there and just kind of thicken them up. They're just peeking out from under his belly, and so we don't see a lot of them. Oh no. I think I'm I'm running out of batteries on my laptop. So let me re-plug in here, you guys. Hopefully I can. Okay. I think we had a little glitch. Hopefully I haven't lost you guys. I can see myself here. Okay, I think we're okay. I had my laptop plugged into this other outlet and I don't think it was working that well because I just got a low battery error, and we had a small little glitch. Hopefully I didn't lose you guys. It looks like it's continuing on. Okay. Keeping my fingers crossed, we're good. If you're watching and you can still hear me, comment that you can hear me and everything looks okay on your guys' end. I'm going to continue on, and hopefully it just catches up with me here. All right, so we've got his feet in. We just need to put his first coat a coat down for the rim of the hat, and I need a little bit more white for that. And for this, I am going to mix it on my palette because I am looking for a certain gray for that hat. I want that nice dark slate gray. And so I've got a little bit of white on my palette and some black, and I'm just going to start mixing them together until I get the color I want. There we go. Black is very strong when you're mixing paint. If you're new to mixing paint, do go easy on the black. It doesn't take much to either darken a color or, change that color a little bit darker. A little goes a long way. Okay. There we go. All right, so let's go back to adding our second layer to the body. And I am going to switch to a smaller round just so I can get some nice small brush strokes to mimic the feathers here. And I'm going to do the same thing I did when I was putting his base on. I'm going to load my brush up with that white, and I'm going to dip it in the black, and maybe just not as much black as before because I want it to be a lighter color. And I'm just going to use a downward brush stroke and just fill in, going all the way across, creating these little brush strokes to mimic feathers. I'm going across, and then I do another layer. I don't want it to be too uniform though, so some of them are a little longer, some are a little short. And then I'm also kind of trying to change my brush strokes so they're not just all straight up and down. Some are at a slight angle where the feathers might have been ruffled. If you get a little bit too dark, just add a little bit more black or white and just blend that right in there. I've got just a little dark spot right here. I'm just going to come in with a little bit of white on top of it and lighten it up so it's not so out of place there. And I got a little dark spot over here. There we go. And then I'm going to come up to the face and kind of just add some white brush strokes, some light gray brush strokes, coming out and around the eyes here, and then just around the eyes like this. You could add some cute little feathers that kind of stick up past his hat here. You could add feathers that stick out of his hat, kind of coming out this way for some fun variation there. Alright, so let's go back and add a second coat to our, here's my brush, scarf and our hat with the red. I'm using my larger round for this, and I'm going to mix a little bit of this red, and I'm going to grab some of that burnt umber or black, you could use either, and just darken that red up until it's the color I want it to be. It's a nice brick color. And then we'll just get that second coat down here. Okay, and then we'll do the same. Put our second coat on our hat up here. There we go. And my nose turned out pretty good. The feet are okay. I don't need a second coat on that. That Sun-Kissed Peach covered that fairly well, but if you needed to put a second coat there, you could do that now. I'm going to come back down to my branch and add some highlights to that. So we've put our base color in and we added our shadow, and now let's create a light brown and add a highlight to the top. So I'm just going to streak actually some of that light brown. I mixed a little bit of white with my burnt umber, and I'm just going to streak that color through my branch. and then we'll add a little bit of snow on top as well here in just a minute. Okay, so I'm just double checking, making sure everything's okay. I'm gonna check my sound real quick. Okay. Looks like we're still good. Alright guys, so he's starting to come together. We've just got some finishing touches left. Let's see, where were we? Let's add some stripes onto his hat. Just gonna grab my medium round for this. It's maybe 1 or 2 steps up from my liner brush, and we'll just add some white stripes up here. Some that just need a little bit. Thicken them up with just a little bit here. Alright, since I've got white on my brush, I'm going to add some fun highlights to the top of the hat here. I'm going to just put a streak on each side there, and I'll go over on that side. I'm going to put a little streak on one side of his beak here. And then we'll add some lines to his scarf. Let's just add the snow to the top of the branches. So I'm just going to dab my brush with the white paint just all the way across the branch. Just a dabbing motion. I'm just tapping that paint right onto that branch, and then on the bottom piece as well. I'll just add a little swipe on his claws here. Okay, so we're down to the last step. We're just going to then grab our liner brush, where did I put mine, and we're going to kind of define some edges with the black. And so I'm watering down my black to make sure that it's nice and loose, because it's been sitting on my palette for a while. So I just added a couple drops so it's easier to paint with. If it's too tacky, it's not going to flow very well for you. Okay, and I'm going to start at the top, and when you're outlining, you want to make sure that you just use a nice light pressure, and you kind of try and move your entire arm with your brush stroke instead of using just your wrist. There are times where just using your wrist is helpful in smaller areas, but if you're trying to create a nice long brush stroke moving your entire arm as opposed to this is ideal. And then also to be able to set your hand down is also helpful, because our hands get heavy and then we're not able to apply a light pressure, and then we're going to end up having a thicker line than we want. So I'm really just outlining his hat, the rim of his hat, his scarf. I'll do his nose as well. And then I'm going to come down under here and give it an out little black line under his body here. When you're outlining, you could also add some fun elements to your outline. It could be a little X or a dash that you add every once in a while. And that really just adds a fun, whimsical touch to your paintings. There we go. Oh, I gotta get the other side of his beak. So that is our owl, you guys. Just making sure everything looks okay. Sometimes technology gets the best of me. So I hope you enjoyed that. One thing I just want to say too is I know, you know, there's this mindset that you've got to paint something that you can hang or paint something that, you know, matches your home decor, but painting doesn't always have to be attached to hanging it and matching your home decor and things like that. It can just be about the process, about having fun. You know, this would look great in a kid's room, and I don't have any kids that I would hang this in, but it was cute to paint and it was fun, and that's the point of it, is to just enjoy yourself while painting. Maybe you just buy a little book like this. It's just a mixed media pad, and you do these fun designs in here and they don't get hung up anywhere, but it's about the process and enjoying it and getting that creative therapy in, because it is such a healing process to just kind of get inside your painting and start that creativity that happens, and you'll start to get inspired and all of the good things that happen there. So I encourage you to paint, regardless if it matches your home decor, regardless if you don't need anything else on your walls. Again, just buy a book and paint, and yeah. So next week we do the fox, and the following week we have a pattern, love pattern. Again, painting patterns can be really fun and therapeutic, so I hope you join us for those. Keep your eye out. I will post reminders. If you want to paint along, the link to the supply list and the tracers are in the description here, or they're listed in the events as well. So yeah, if you do paint this, I encourage you to share your work. Send me a picture, post them in the comments, post them on our page, wherever you want to. I love seeing how everyone's paintings come out different, and seeing your creativity come out in your paintings. So I would love to see your work, and encourage you to share that with us as well. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoy painting this, and we will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.